Thank you very much for the introduction, and I especially thank Paolo for the presentation because it's a very good linkage to what I have planned to share with you. Just a little bit of myself, what might be or what could be of interest to you as to set the background. So, on a daily basis, I earn my living with being a head teacher, or being principal, being a director, being a manager and a leader, hopefully, in a school in Tallinn, which also runs two programs, the national and the international baccalaureate. And also being a president of the school heads in Estonia, and also representing Estonian school heads in the European Association of School Heads. In addition to that, my initial training was in education, and the second education is in business management and administration. I've also been involved in NGOs. I'm still involved in NGOs, and also run different companies in my young youth. I'm standing here at the moment, looking at you and not knowing what you would expect to happen. What your expectation to me and the next 20-30 minutes is. Would anyone like to share your expectations to me, irrespective of what I have prepared? What would you like me to do?
Well, being a father of 3 sons who are now at university, I have my very own personal experiences with the quality of schools. And thinking about digitalization, I'm kind of worried about how will the schools that I know tackle this very difficult transition period from like what we all know, this teacher who is very firm with maybe Latin and the values, the educational values that we value ourselves very high, and the work of tomorrow, where we are kind of dealing with machines, with robots, with digital cases, and I don't see that in the schools of today. So how are schools make our youth, our future, how do they make them fit for these new technologies? This is my big concern, and that's what I would like to know from you. What are your ideas about that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
How can we catch up with this ever-evolving technology? Even for me, it's sometimes very difficult to be as fit in these technologies compared to 16 years old, for example. You also have a question?
Yeah, I mean, we think of education typically as something that is about the youth. It's about young people who, have to go into the labor market, and what skills should they have. And obviously, the questions that have been posed before are certainly important ones, because the youth is indeed a primary concern. But there is a whole parallel policy agenda about how do we help workers who are already in the labor market to upskill, reskill, and adapt. And that poses a lot of problematic issues, because if anything, we're worried that workers that are already in the labor market are less adaptable than young. Yeah. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Thank you. Right, 2 questions. How's the school catering already for the youngsters, and what to do with people in the labor market, and how can you make them learn? These are very topical things, and when I listened to Paula and looked at those slides, I have one news to you, which is not no news to you most probably. Everything is done in our lives during the first months up to the age of 3. The rest is relearning, unlearning, and retraining. So, my question to you is, are you happy with your life? Are you satisfied with your life? if the answer is yes, you know everything about leadership. Because if you can lead the most complex thing in life, that is your life, you know how to do the rest of it. And then I might rest my case here. That's about leadership. If everybody can manage their life, can lead their life, we shouldn't be here talking about leadership, talking about retraining people. Yes, the answer is education. The key is in education. I'm not going to talk about challenges because I already mentioned that, but education. And education is the key to success in every society, whether a small nation in the Baltics or bigger ones in the Nordic countries or in the European Union or in the world in general. And at least I believe it to be so, and I'm very happy that Paolo's evidence also backed it up today, that education is the key. And when I tried to answer the two questions with this very simple concept of education, that is, the problems of today are in the education provided yesterday. And the challenge is whether we are going to go into future by applying the paradigm of yesterday. In education, what we see is that successful people want their children to be educated the way they were educated. At the same time, they know that it is not going to serve them in the long run. So, in education as well as in business, we should unlearn from the yesterday's paradigm and try to think the new ways of doing things. Because education provides knowledge and training skills. Education is shapes and develops personality and educates citizens. And that is the narrow picture. The bigger and broader picture is to preserve the cultural environment, perpetuate values, which are very important. It's also create conditions for development and serve the system. And when we are talking about the people in the labor market today who are in that revolutionary position where the jobs they have lost their jobs, then the answer is, have we created conditions for development? Or have we served the system? And most probably we have failed in that. Even if you like, sometimes I think that the public education worldwide has failed because we have trained people for something which is not going to lead their life as well as they would like to. And it comes from the first education institution called the family, and secondly in the formal education, definitely. So we should look into what we are doing for the future, and here I would like to use the study PISA. Everybody knows PISA. Is there anyone who doesn't? No hands. Okay, good. So you can find the information in the web page of OECD, and this is only one slide from PISA 2015 on sciences. The greener the spot, the better well-doing the 15-year-old ones are there. So if you look at the world, we have far too many red places and yellow and greenish places. So which means that the schools have not, or the systems have not succeeded with the 15-year-old ones to prepare and provide the skills needed for the life in a contemporary society. And what I would like to challenge the business world is to look more and study more the PISA results, not only of 2015, but the earlier ones, and put this picture into the future, and then see how their businesses are going to be run and what the outcome and what the outlook to the future is going to be for the individual country or Europe in general or the world in general. It's true that Estonia has been successful in the country comparison of the 15-year-old students. We have the lowest amount of low proficiency students in Europe, which was also pointed out by Paolo. We also have, which is positive, is that the results are not influenced by the student background. So the gap, socioeconomic gap, is not great there. So why is it important? Is that we all know that the chain is as strong as it is as strong as the weakest link. So does the education system cater for all, or does it cater for a minority group of people who have the privilege of getting the best education available, the best education which would serve them well throughout their life, and the rest are doomed to the situations where they can't cope with the advancement of technology and the advancement of the contemporary society. In addition to those scores, what is important maybe is that the Estonian students and school children are very much e-students. Only 1.4% of students do not use internet on a school day, by a certain study. And a certain study says that they lead the league tables internet usage during the work days. Estonians are leading according to the usage of school web and e-school platforms, and among the OECD countries, IT is the most popular future aspiration of Estonian 50-year-old ones. And when I'm talking about the gap of the IT-rich environment and the future, then I am very positive about the future. As to the 15-year-old ones who have produced those results. The other question is, what shall we do with the ones in the labour market? Because the picture didn't differ in Estonia from that in Sweden or Norway or other countries in Europe. 43% of Estonian students wish to obtain higher academic education. So 43%, nearly 50%, right? They would like to go to universities. Education is valued. Whether that is going to serve the society, the future will show. But definitely, if people are education oriented, then that gives a positive feeling about the future. And talking about Estonian education and the results, then the question is, what have brought about the good results? The most probably that the public school system was actually created in 1686, which means that it was the beginning of compulsory schooling for boys and girls. We have a very strong and high quality early childhood preschool education. Over 90% of the children at the age of 3 to 6 attend preschool, which means they are already in a way in a formal education system. But the system provides, or it treats them equally from the point of view of equity. So, and that is just like in building. If you take a house, you have to lay a strong fundament for the house to survive and stay there for ages. Another factor is supporting students. So throughout their career in education, there's a strong support to them, whether that is specialists like social pedagogues or psychologists or speech therapists, or boarding schools for the ones who have social problems. So that all caters for equity, that all caters for the future of those young people. And one thing is that throughout the history in Estonian education, special attention has been paid to the weakest, by whatever definition we take it. So that everybody should have the chance. And education is the key, as I said. Another factor, external and internal evaluation. And the stress is, and focus is on evaluation, not inspection. So it's important to what you do, the goals, and the way you do, but it's not evaluation for somebody to justify your activities. You bear in mind the child and their interests. It's highly valued, what I've said already, and it's decentralized. International assessment programs like PISA and TALIS show that Estonia belongs to the group of countries with a high degree of autonomy in schools. So therefore, we can indicate that head teacher or principal director is granted significant decision-making authority and operational freedom. So, in other words, they can fire, they can hire, they can train just as it suits right for the kids. So, having the kids in mind, that's the focus for the leadership. It's important to say that decentralization, a prerequisite for that is the professionalism of teachers and school leaders. And in Estonia, every teacher has to have a master's degree. Also in preschool. So it means if you have the professionals, well-trained, well-skilled, they can be, in a decentralized systems, the change makers. And you can have then the frame, the national curriculum, which is the frame. And the professionals can do their job. According to OECD in 2014, and TALIS, 94.4% of all teachers and school leaders in Estonia are qualified to what I've said already. We also have induction year for novice teachers, which is quite unique in the world, which means also the ones who come to the market, we cater for their well-being, for their training and skills. Schools are free to complete and compile their own curriculum on the basis of the national framework. And teachers are free to choose their methods. And the last strong point made here is the Estonian Lifelong Learning Strategy 2020, which is coming to an end soon, has set the framework. And it's not a bulleted strategy for everybody to follow, but it's a strategy that helps the professionals to mold their life. So, challenges. The World Economic Forum has listed top 10 skills in 2020 compared to 2015. You can find different skills needed. But if you look into the top 3, complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, then these are the ones where we lack knowledge and skills the most. And going again into challenges which are there from the point of view of education. So the first one is changing world, and already it's mentioned many times. We all know that many skills and which the knowledge we should provide will be relevant maybe within 10 years' time, but will it be true in 20 years' time, that's a question to be answered. The same about working conditions. Already Paolo mentioned that. For example, in my school, I have 2 persons who work for the school entirely from distance. The first time I met them was when we signed the contract, and with one of them we signed the contract digitally, which is the prime way of doing things in Estonia. And these are the ones who are in IT sector. I don't need them to be on the spot. They can do their job wherever they want to, whenever they want to, so that the job is done on time. So the IT provides opportunities which are changing the educational world even today, or already today, whether we like it or not. And the ones who are paying attention to education and technology from early ages on, they have an advantage. What else? Inability to cope with differences. Sorry. Yes. Inability to cope with differences. Yeah. Not much there, but teachers are skilled by students. When Paolo said that adults in the labor market today are not capable in the technology-rich environment, the same applies to teachers. Teachers are outskilled by students today, and that's a major issue. It's a challenge. So how to overcome this period? One of the solutions is to change the way we teach, to change the concept. Who is the teacher and who is the learner? In education today, everybody is a teacher and everybody is a learner. In that situations, I challenge you with the idea, the ones who manage to use and utilize the knowledge of the younger generation in school to teach the older generation, if I may put it this way, will gain advantage. So everybody's a teacher, everybody's a learner. And there's a lot what we can learn from the ones who we think are filling with IT technological gadgets and talk nonsense to us, but talk sense to themselves. And abundance of opportunities, how to manage that and how to deal with that. Maybe that is the answer, at least part of the answer. The structure of school leadership. I think it's also a challenge for the business sector. The structure of leadership, the structure of business organizations. My task for you, ladies and gentlemen in this room, we still, I think, have some time, to use the most powerful tool a leader has, that is word, or words. And maybe you can paint a picture to the neighbor, or your neighbor, about the organizational structure you work in a minute. Because managers and leaders need challenges. Words, the organizational structure, paint a picture to your neighbor within a minute. So it is to be done at the moment.
Talent. So your organizational structure.
I think you have to choose the best challenge you have to choose actually, they show you my tour. I don't know, it's a tricky one.
15 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So Jean, any contributions from the?
Yes. So we have Ludger.
But we have some good suggestions.
Some good suggestion here?
Yes.
Please?
Yes.
Shall I? Or do you want to explain it?
Yeah, please.
We just said with Hanika that perhaps the major issue is to know that we never know. So that each day we have to start from scratch and to recharge a new battery and to know that we never know. I think it's perhaps the major issue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I know that we are only a few seconds left. So the question is for the future, and here is a model from Peter Zenger. I believe everybody knows him. But already decades ago, he described a learning organization. And when we are talking about the future of leadership, and when we're talking about the future of the labor market, and when we're talking about the prospects of the future, then I think we have left one thing out, and that's the learning organization. And one of the characteristics of a learning organization is not the type of hierarchic management. It's about learning organization, whether you have the vision, but you have different groups of people working together, not paying attention to the rank or the role given. They take the role, they perform, they take another role. So that is something what I see in schools worldwide. We try to teach the young ones critical thinking, initiative, entrepreneurial skills. And the way we run schools is the old hierarchic way of doing things. The top has the chief, then the middle managers, then the teachers, and they execute it, like in war. And somewhere there is the learner, the student who is bored, who in many times is in the environment which is not meaningful for them. No, we are all learners and we are all teachers, and the structure could be or should be something of that type. So below, this is the management or organizational structure of my school. I've done that in my school already for 6 years. We have the leadership team of 9 people, the case who are sometimes we need it in case of crisis, but the rest of the staff, which is 69 people, do not have departments. We used to have departments. We don't have departments. They're all free to step in, propose, lead, or follow, depending on the tasks, depending on what they feel like. And the students are also incorporated into this management leadership team. So, by way of conclusion, I don't think that the world has seen a situation where organizations will revert back to the old way of doing things, unless they have been doing it all the time. We don't need leaders and managers larger than life who single-handedly make a company live and prosper. The future, the key, is in involving as many people as possible. And as an answer to the question, what should education do, is to provide education where leadership skills are embodied into the formal education. The future is, these skills are so basic that every citizen should have leadership skills. The social competencies, the emotional intelligence, the empathy, so that it's not the business world task to re-educate them to become more emotionally intelligent or socially capable. It's the task of the preschool, on schooling and universities. These are universal skills. Leadership and leading is universal and is not something only typically business world skill. So systems and cultures designed to develop new leaders and truly empower them is the key. And schools should change. So therefore, once again, I'd very much like if the business world studied the PISA results, for example, of their country, and put their vision of the future into the picture, and then took the politicians to a round table to talk about, do we do the best possible for our next generation? Or is it catering only for the momentum and for a few in the elite? So I very much thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's been a privilege, and I'm really honored to be amongst you. Thank you very much.